Greetings and welcome to Home Safe for Holidays 2021, Wheels, Gravity, and Complacency. I will be presenting on the wheels portion of the Home Safe for Holidays over-the-road vehicles. My name is Dan Finn, Senior Risk Management Consultant with Berkley Industrial Comp based here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This presentation's objectives will be from some safety enhancement processes for over-the-road incidents and statistics as a workplace exposure, awareness, training for drivers, fleet safety program topics and their effectiveness, and some driver selection benefits for hiring the right candidate, all from the workers' compensation perspective. Let's review some over-the-road statistics based on DOT regulated and non-regulated fleets. One of the most dangerous tasks employees perform every day is often overlooked and misunderstood or estimated as well, and that's traveling to and from work or from the job sites, one job site to the next, doing office errands, as well as route deliveries and so forth. Transportation incidents remain one of the most frequent type of work-related fatal events, accounting for over 40% of all workplace-related fatalities. Every 12 seconds, someone dies in a vehicle crash. And in 2018, there were just about 40,000 motor vehicle-related deaths. Statistics don't really indicate as to how many of those deaths were work-related, but again, that's a significant number. And 47% of all fatally injured in a motor vehicle accident were not wearing seat belts. So again, the importance of the safety aspect and awareness of operating vehicles. And motor vehicle crashes cost employers annually just about $60 billion in total costs. As part of our awareness objective, we certainly want to review these topics of the safety pledge. We're going to discuss a little bit about distracted driving, the hazards related to out-of-vehicle duties and responsibilities, such as unanticipated breakdowns, loading and unloading, load securement and tarping activities, cleaning and maintenance by drivers and mechanical staff, pre- and post-trip inspections, aka walkarounds performed by operators of vehicles as well as mechanics, and some company expectations. We'll touch base on all of these. The safety pledge as part of the awareness aspect of things. Management's commitment, you definitely need to have that, and you have to have a policy statement to all employees and drivers by the owner of the business, the principal of the business, or the principal of each station or regional operation. Certainly key, and that should be the lead off of any program, a statement such as they value all the employees, the safety of all employees, safe operation of vehicles, and that's their utmost and primary concern of the number one asset of the business is their employees. And the signature of that individual is also a bona fide aspect of that pledge. Also, as an organization, we pledge to you, Safety Pledge, the RAMP organization here, our risk assessment and management assessment team, our loss control team here at Berkley Industrial Comp, that we will provide support for you. We offer resources, assistance, training, as well as online resources and materials for your benefit. We have a self-assessment questionnaire that's very implementary, and as well as a tool you can use to gauge to see the positives and negative attributes of your existing program. Program implementation, again, having driver involvement is key. And the training program execution and driver selection are also parts of the safety pledge of any awareness activity within the organization. As we continue on with our awareness activities, again, distracted driving and some statistics around them it's very important because it's the second leading driver-related cause of fatal truck and large vehicle crashes nationally. And begs the question, what's number one? Number one is the human error aspect of things. We'll touch base on that in a little bit throughout the presentation. I'll list the top 10 items of human error. Again, driver cell phone usage occurs most frequently at 65 miles an hour or over. And according to the CDC and Prevention, not wearing a frontal seatbelt as a driver is 30 times likely to be ejected during a crash. And as we all know, if you're ejected during an automobile or vehicle accident, injury and death is apparent, and certainly injury is much more significant. So ejection is not an option we want anybody to have, even with airbags and such of the smaller perhaps non-regulated fleet vehicles. And drivers who eat or drink while driving are 25% more likely to get into a collision within 90 days as compared to those who do not. So again, some relative statistics involving distracted driving stats. We all hear of distracted driving, and a lot of folks may ask or wonder, what does it mean? But there's technically 3 types of distracted driving. There's visual, manual, and cognitive. And again, the visual, as listed here, is anything changing visual focus from the front, sides, and rear. Not to be confused with the Smith's system of driving that we're talking about in a little bit, but you can have fog and iced over windshields, sunrise, sunsets, heavy rain, weather conditions, all attribute to visual distracted driving. Then you have your manual distracted driving, which could be adjusting controls, mirrors in or on the vehicle, texting or dialing a phone, shifting gears, certainly while the vehicle is operating while wheels are rolling. And then there's the cognitive distracted driving, which includes complacency, micro-napping, influencers such as listening to the radio or playing loud music, and or drowsiness caused by fatigue, medication, illicit drugs, alcohol, or whatever the case may be, lack of sleep, poor planning for a trip. So again, the 3 types of distracted driving are visual, manual, and cognitive. Some continuing statistics on distracted driving would include here: driving drowsy or distracted increases the risk of collision by 3 times if you are fatigued, 4 times if you're talking on a cell phone, 7 times more likely if you're reaching for a device or cab controls and environmental adjustments, and 23 times if you are texting. So again, texting really affects things here. And there's a recent Carnegie Mellon University, CMU, test here that provides that driving while using a cell phone reduces the amount of brain activity associated with driving by 37%. So again, having this part of it really contributes to the cognitive aspect of distracted driving. Let's take a quick look here at some reaction time under statistics. Again, there's 3 classifications here. The time frame of the 1.5 seconds we're going to talk about, and as indicated. We have perception, reaction, and braking. Now, this takes into account normal reaction time of 1.5 seconds when you notice something and when you start to react. Again, in this time frame, you travel at 65 miles per hour, you travel up to 30 yards by the time you've perceived it, you've reacted, and you start applying the brake. This does not include stopping distance or stopping time. Take that into account as well. So vehicle condition, road surface, tire conditions, and the such all take into account after this. Now let's take a look now at reaction time while texting. This is a 3.5 second time frame. And again, you have perception, reaction, and braking. And while texting at 65 miles per hour, cover the distance of a football field of 100 yards. So you can see it's more than twice of the 1.5 under normal reaction time, while you're distracted and you have this perception, reaction, braking time compendium. Given the information I've provided thus far, talked about distracted driving being number 2 cause, and number 1 cause was human error for incidents on the road. So here's the 10 common human error causes of collisions listed here: inattention, too much or too little attention, not enough time. Again, all consider that distracted driving elements there. Not enough space, not allowing for mistakes of others. So again, being aware of your surroundings. We'll talk about that in the Smith system. Not enough training, failure to adjust to conditions, attitude, driver impairment, and then vehicle failure. Again, vehicle failure comes into the mechanical side of things, maybe not so much human error, but human error based on a mechanical failure of a misadjustment or misreaction to what happens. And again, this is a source from Flagger Force, so I want to make sure I give them credit to where I sourced this information. As we continue on through the awareness aspect of things, we're going to company expectations. There's training, you have the safety program, and a driver selection. So again, implementation of a true driver vehicle ergonomic assessment and fitment analysis for each vehicle operator plays a key factor in things. So you want to make sure that you fit the operator to the vehicles that they be operating. Train and orientate all vehicle operators to perform all presets and adjustments, GPS settings, etc., prior to operating the vehicle. And it's always good to implement some sort of a documented or formalized checklist, be it electronically or on paper, to help with this requirement. And be sure your fleet management program includes former vehicle preventive maintenance policies and documented pre- and post-shift inspections and with maintenance personnel. And you also certainly want to build that safety culture where good driving behavior is recognized and rewarded. And make sure to stay involved and be involved. Don't be distant or disconnected with the drivers or the employees. Make sure that they know that you have good oversight and that you genuinely care about the program and its effectiveness, implementation, and the execution of it. And that goes a long way to the success of your training and orientation, as well as all the other program attributes that go along with company expectations. Some quick training tricks here for distracted driving. Training employees is using electronic devices while driving, not to do that. Certainly don't forget preventive maintenance is the key element. And mirror adjustments prior to operating the vehicle. And always be sure to communicate those 3 types of distracted driving to the drivers, at visual, manual, and cognitive aspects of it. And be sure to implement an effective fleet safety program segment that includes distracted driving. The training aspect of the over-the-road vehicles, again, defensive driving is very important, providing ride-alongs, annual training, mentorships, and DOT-regulated fleet activities. We're going to address those items here as we go forward. As the saying goes, defense is a lot of times your best offense, and certainly within training, defensive driving is very important. So the Smith system is probably one of the most important aspects of that, as it takes into account, training your drivers on safe following distance, visual scanning, and anticipation of issues and things they encounter over the road. The 5 keys to the Smith system of driving is aim high in steering, and that's to keep your eye and visual above the dash and looking side to side and looking around. Get the big picture. Make sure you're aware of your surroundings everywhere. Keep your eyes moving. Left mirror, right mirror, rear view mirror, windshield. Keep a wide view of focus as much as possible. Don't focus on the hood ornament or right in front of the vehicle when you're moving at drivable speeds. Leave yourself an out. Again, always have that buffer zone of space in front of you, so don't tailgate. Make sure the vehicle behind you is not right on your tail end, and left or right. So if anything happens, you can avoid any issues that you may anticipate. You can swerve left, you can swerve right, you can slow down fast, or you can maybe accelerate a little bit to avoid something from behind you. Again, and make sure that everybody can see you. So don't hide or drive in somebody's blind spot. If you're a smaller vehicle, non-regulated fleet, or even a small delivery van or box truck, and you're in the blind spot of a larger semi-tractor trailer or large vehicle. So always operate your vehicle where you can be seen by others and they can see you. Again, part of the training with drivers, again, the ride-alongs. That way you can certainly accompany drivers on their routes. You can even anonymously follow them on their routes, see how they're doing. And be sure to compliment and correct any issues that you may observe. And again, follow-up and feedback on a very short time frame is very important in these respects as well. And it's always good to know that the drivers, as part of the company policy and expectations, that they could be anonymously followed on one of their routes or deliveries at any given time by management or a supervisor. And that the ride-alongs are pre-scheduled, or they can be impromptu. So again, the drivers would know that at any time they could be asked, they can be accompanied by a supervisor or a safety manager within the organization. And again, follow-up and time frame is very important. Scheduled training, again, very important to have at least annually. Quarterly or monthly is always great. Make sure it's on the calendar throughout the organization, all employees that it applies to. Communicate that regularly, and also include all drivers, mechanics, and dispatch personnel. It's always important to make sure that nobody is left out and that minutes of the meetings are held, and if there's any presentations that could be recorded or saved so they can be utilized by folks that may have missed any of the trainings. And again, you want to keep this training in the employees' records. Mentorship is again another important aspect of the culture within the organization. Again, the duration and time frame, either a new employee or retraining existing employees for corrective actions, and should be performed by a supervisor or by a management delegate, and again, or by other experienced drivers to be a mentor to a new driver, and certainly select your best. And again, follow-up time and feedback on a timely manner is very important. Again, the Department of Transportation, aka DOT, documentation is very important to have on for each of the vehicles there. If you're a regulated fleet, you want the vehicle files, driver files, program meeting notes, and agendas. Again, they have the websites out there for the DOT, the Safer SIS that you can utilize that is there for a review of reports and statistics for your firm. You can pull it up by your DOT number, by your name, your business, and you can review what they have on file with you, as well as reports from your DOT audits. Some additional programs within the safety effort include driver awards, DOT compliance efforts, electronic devices such as your GPS, cameras and cell phone policies, usage, implementation, the cameras on vehicles, dash cams, frontward facing, rear facing cameras, 1-800 driver vehicle reporting services, and incident investigations, all part of it. Award programs include, for example, some safe driving awards, safe behavior awards, recognition, number of miles, number of deliveries performed in a safe, without any incidents, safe manner, that sort of thing. And DOT compliance efforts, again, the CDL requirements and the driver files. Must have that written application, have that driver's license in there, certainly the medical card, current drug tests, annual MVR for that most recent year, training certificates, if any road test summaries, and any incident information, accident information, if any, as well. And the FMCSA link for driver qualifications, here's the link for that. Can be provided, certainly you can access there. And also internal risk management best practices to employ, again, for non-regulated fleets, you have vehicle files, inspection reports documented, state required inspections, make sure they're up to date on all vehicles, and go the extra mile. Make sure you do more than minimal compliance, and hold your drivers accountable for the condition of their vehicles when it comes to those inspection reports that are submitted by them and followed up with by the fleet supervisory personnel. And we have the electronic devices and infotainment items within vehicles. These days you have your original equipment manufacturer vehicle mounted screens that are in there anymore for controls. So you have your audio and GPS systems. There's the auto dial and texting features on cell phones and other wireless devices. There's cameras involved in vehicles anymore. Telematics, fleet-wide systems, very important. And radar detectors, again, utilized by drivers, not typically recommended by us or from most fleet managers, but again, they could be used, owned personally and used. So again, all these contribute to distracted driving and need ongoing policies and training and awareness factoring. Here's a nice list of prevention tips and methods for infotainment devices there that certainly be of value to you. And I'm not going to read through them all, but again, the dial when not moving is a very important aspect of things. Some additional programs available out there are the How's My Driving third-party reporting services that are available. A lot of them are used by regulated and non-regulated fleets. Of course, you'll see those bumper stickers or placards on the backs of vehicles. 1-800, etc. How's my driving? Again, this is public reporting that can be called in on a vehicle operated by your company, by any driver, reported by the general public, 24/7, 365. Again, there's some pluses and minuses to that, but again, the reports need to be valuable. But it does create an added level of awareness to the driver or by the driver, as far as there's a third set of eyes that could report on their behavior of their driving. And they're not required. But each organization makes their own choice if they utilize these or not. And there is an associated cost with this service. And if nothing else, it does provide a regulatory activity of your drivers that somebody could call in and either report. Mostly it's negative, but sometimes they do report positive things. So keep those in mind. Again, incident investigations, very important when these do occur. You want to make sure you designate who performs them, coordinate certainly with the police report, and certainly be able to train your drivers to perform fact-gathering skills when they're involved in an incident if they're able to do so. And again, dash and vehicle-mounted cameras are a very good support mechanism for determining the root cause and possible fault and also liability. But again, they're not intended to assign blame and searches for the truth. But hopefully the driver does not get injured in the incidents here, be it that this presentation is coming to you from a workers' compensation standpoint. Key element and aspect of workplace safety when it comes to operating vehicles and operating the fleet are new hire screening, the MVR evaluations, point screening systems, infraction weighting, tolerance levels, and drug testing. New hire screening certainly takes in the proper posting of positions, and a lot of it comes through active positive referrals from existing staff. Certainly a written application should outline the work experience as well as their work history, valid driver's license and exam criteria for the vehicle that they'll be driving, current medical card for CDL drivers, so make sure they have that. Verbal and in-person interview, again, you can outline the driver's the expectations, the duties, responsibilities, and accountability factors within the organization. Practical evaluation of operating class of the vehicle to be driven. Perhaps you can do an initial ride along on private property in the parking lot, backing, or just seeing if the person, the potential hiring, could be how they can use the TARP mechanism or load securement or operating the controls within the cab of the vehicle. Again, your motor vehicle record review and drug screen results, the first as well as initial and ongoing. Just a quick recap here on the annual MVR. It's a DOT requirement. You want to make sure that it has good risk management practice in place because you definitely want to be diligent with this, as well as pulling multiple state for the non-regulated fleets, because the CDL is fine, but non-regulated fleet, if they're operating in other states or they're a new hire from a different state, make sure you get this previous state where they came from as well, and any neighboring states they may have been driving. In standardized point system and violation accountability, make sure you have that presented and communicated to all your staff. And self-reporting issues with the drivers throughout the year policy, so they know to report if they were caught in a speed trap or they maybe a DUI. You may have to tie that in with your HR department for an employment policy, because you don't want to have somebody with a DUI that did not tell you and they're operating a vehicle for months or maybe even an entire year without you even be aware of it. So again, make sure that they have a self-reporting policy in place. So in summary, company expectations of awareness, training, programs, and driver selection. Be sure you implement a true driver vehicle ergonomic assessment and fitment analysis for each vehicle operator. Train and orientate all vehicle operators to perform all presets and adjustments and GPS settings prior to operating the vehicle. And again, formal vehicle preventive maintenance policies are a key element there. Build that safety culture where good driver training and behavior is recognized and rewarded. And be involved, stay involved. And don't be distant or disconnected. And always under the training, make sure that you repeat those aspects of 3 points of contact, entering and exiting the vehicle, and when servicing it or load securement or tarping, as well as distracted driving reminders on a regular basis. I thank you for your time, and we certainly thank you for your business and your ongoing safety efforts as they relate with the operation of your vehicles and your employees. And for additional resources, we have several attachments provided for you, and you can always reach out to your RAMP team member, myself, or your Dwayne, Randon, Dave, or Van, and we'll certainly be able to help you out based on your geographical location. Thanks again, have a safe day, and let's all get home safe for the holidays.